Hey guys, it's Barrett with the Gimpy Camper. So today I wanted to walk you through some updates I did to my Blackstone install, where I put the 22-inch Blackstone inside the outdoor kitchen of my camper. I'm going to tell you some things that worked out great and some things that didn't work out so great with that. And so I'm just going to show you the changes that I did. It's just to make it more usable for me in my circumstances. So I'll have to admit that the way that I installed it before, you had to flip the griddle top over to slide it back and forth. And that really, it's a minor thing, and I don't know why, but it's kept me from using it as much as I use the 17-inch griddle whenever I had it. And you still had to like flip the griddle top over to put it in storage. So I'm not sure what's kept me from using it as much, but it's just irritated me. I didn't like it. So I decided to do some changes. I'm also going to say that the heat shield that I made, I had a video on that up here. I didn't really find it useful, so I stopped using that. And when I did that, I took the magnets off, and that made room for some of the changes that we're going to talk about today. I have checked the temperatures of the counter there with an infrared thermometer, and I believe the highest, it's been a little while since I've done that, so I can't think right off the top of my head. I think it's about 110 degrees was the hottest that area got, which wasn't making me worried that it was going to be combustible. I've also read reports on Facebook groups about some people apparently saying that the heat from the griddle has messed up their door that opens up for your outdoor kitchen. You know, mine's about 4 or 5 feet there, and I've not had any issues with that whatsoever. I guess if you have a smaller outdoor kitchen where that lid's down lower, that could be an issue. But I've never even thought about it, and I think it's because mine has so much space there. A lot of times when we comment on things on Facebook and stuff, we can't really put ourselves in other people's shoes because it's not our situation, if that makes any sense. But in my situation, I've not had any issues with the top there getting too hot. Now, I do know some people that use a fold-out aluminum heat shield to put behind there and just rest it on the drawer slides. And they say that's to protect the counter and stuff from getting grease splatter on it. To me, it's an outdoor kitchen. It's going to get greasy. I just clean it. But, you know, everybody's got their own quirkiness about them. And so, you know, if you still wanted a heat shield, that's not a bad idea either, and it's something easy. But as far as me, the temperature and the grease, neither one's something that I really worry about. All right, so one of the things that's kept me from using this griddle is because when I installed it, I don't know if it's how it was parked at the time. I thought I made sure it was level, but it seems like every time I park it and I use the griddle, the angle's wrong on it. And so the grease, instead of running to the back where the grease drain is, the grease runs to the front, and I get a big pool of grease up in one corner. And so the first thing that I did was I removed the screws from the back and the middle of the slides, and I did put those down lower about 1/2 inch, which raised the front end, thus angling the griddle backwards a little bit. And since I've done that, I've not had any issues with that whole grease running forward thing. So that seems to fix that problem. For the next problem, you know, there was a faceboard piece of the cabinet that goes there, and with the griddle top sitting on the griddle, I couldn't push my griddle all the way back in there. Some people have installed them and said they didn't have that issue. Some people have done the same griddle with the same camper that I have and don't have any issues. I don't know what happened with me. I have it about as low as you could get it, and it's still clear the door opening there. And so I'm not really sure what's going on. I thought at first it was because I got the one that had the hood and the legs with it, and so I thought that maybe the distance was a little different there. But I've had other people say that they used the same one and didn't have any issues. So I'm going to say that I took a saw to it and I just cut that piece off. At first, I was going to use some angle iron. I was going to use some angle iron on the sides inside that cabinet to give it support where the top meets the sides of that compartment of the cabinet. And then so that it would still clear, I was going to use a piece of straight flat steel across the top to connect those two pieces of angle iron. But truthfully, there's not a lot of stress on that cabinet right there. I don't feel like that one little piece of press board and a little tiny brace that was behind it really did any good whatsoever there. And so I just cut it off and left it. Now, you know, I might regret that decision. I might have to go back and, you know, kind of rebuild that cabinet later if something happens to it. But there's support to that cabinet on one side from the shelf that the fridge is sitting on, and on the other side from the top and the back and the rest of the front. So I think that it's fine. Now, to make it look better, I decided to put some aluminum angle around the front to use it for trim. And so what I actually did, I wanted something pretty light and thin. I didn't care if it was like real thick or anything. And so what I ended up using, because it was easy to work with, was just aluminum window flashing. And so I just went to Home Depot and got a section of that was like 32 inches long. And I cut it just big enough to fit in the sides because it's already got a right angle on there. And then it had a little extra lip. I did kind of bend it back a little bit further just so that it would go around the corner there. And then I used, I drilled some pilot holes in it. I spray painted it black. On the one side, I did have to use the tin snips that I used to trim it with in order to cut out a little notch for the gas nozzle to go in and out of. But I think it looks a lot better. I just used some high temperature spray paint and spray painted those black. Put a couple of coats of that on there and used some small self-tapping screws. But remember, I did drill pilot holes so that I wouldn't scratch it all up. And I think that that's helped the appearance a lot. So if you got any other recommendations, leave them down in the comments. Hopefully this video helped, and this is just an update on my griddle and the way that we're doing it these days. Thanks, guys.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.